Glenn, thank you for that live report. The life of Springfield Police Officer Kevin Ambrose was taken away 11 years ago when he responded to a domestic violence disturbance call. Today, a special ceremony to honor his memory took place at Franconia Golf Course. Western Mass News reporter Daniel Santiago joins us live in studio with more. Daniel.
Chris, Officer Ambrose's sacrifice 11 years ago ultimately saved the lives of a mother and her child. Today, co-workers, family, and friends gathered at the Franconia Golf Course to remember him and celebrate his life.
Officer Kevin Ambrose died in the line of duty, but his memory lives on. Today, Springfield's Mayor Dominic Sarno, Police Superintendent Chair Clabroot, and many of Officer Ambrose's friends and family gather around hole number 7 at the Franconia Golf Course, which from now on will be dedicated in his memory. That's because he wore badge number 7 during the 36 years he worked on the force. Springfield's Police Superintendent Chair Clabroot remembers Officer Ambrose as someone well-liked by his community.
He was just such the personality, just such a genuine, friendly, happy-go-lucky guy that he's the kind of story you want to tell and you want to remember him and make sure the young people coming up know who he was.
Springfield's Mayor Dominic Sarno tells Western Mass News that ceremonies like today's matter most because of the important message that it sends to new recruits and the entire community of Springfield.
The message that it sends is that our brave and dedicated men and women in blue are there to save lives and make for a better community.
Officer Ambrose was the last Springfield police officer to die in the line of duty in recent years. Superintendent Clabroot says that the Springfield Police Department will continue to honor his memory and telling his story to new recruits. Reporting live in studio, Daniel Santiago, Western Mass News.